And it wasn't sneaky either. It's like, this giant statue is swinging a giant sword. What do we do? Do we walk towards the dragons that blow at us? No. Let's go the other way. Like even Wreckage knew what to do.
Alright, so a note about the characters. Dave mentioned the characters as being a strength of sorts, and I'd like to clarify that I'm not stating this so that I can claim credit, but I do not want the adventure to get credit for this, because as written, all of the NPCs, or all the inhabitants of Winterhaven, are just written as complete cardboard cutouts with no personality whatsoever. So any enjoyment you might have gotten out of them is not attributed to the authors of this adventure.
Oh, 'cause they felt pretty cookie cutter to me. Ew.
No, look, there's cookie cutter, and then there's having no personality whatsoever.
I was just teasing you.
No, I'll be the first to say it. The Dwarven Blacksmith, he's supposed to be a cliche. That's what makes him funny. But the adventure, as much as it'll detail ad nauseum the most bizarre things, and then it'll just gloss over some really important details that could really serve to flesh out the adventure. The townsfolk of Winterhaven was, as you said, Doug, potential not reached. There's a lost opportunity to make you care about the people of Winterhaven by giving them personality. Completely lost.
But in that area, it's quite possible that they are sort of hoping, a good DM will fill the shoes when it comes to personality, right? Like that's you seem to be a fantastic DM, and I'm sort of maybe judging every DM on you by you because I've never had another DM. But it seems like the sort of thing for a town, you don't want to invest too much time making a character, because that is something, the DM will be taking care of himself anyway. So you give a basics, and you let them take it from there. And you did a fantastic job.
But sort of like what CJ was saying before is that he would get this product so that he doesn't have to invest as much time in it. Any DM, if they want, can overrule the description given to them and decide to change things. But there should be at least some kind of, acceptable setup already in place, if they're going to describe the characters. I don't think every DM wants to just have to make up a personality for every single NPC they're forced to play that the players interact with. That's a bit ridiculous.
Nick sums up most of my point quite nicely. And Doug, I appreciate the compliment. But again, going back to what Nick said, yes, the DM can come up with a personality for the characters, but at least give us some kind of bare bones description, something to work with. Yes, the DM can do it himself, but there are creative professionals paid to do this stuff, whereas a DM is not necessarily, although yes, a DM would have to have some creativity, or all of us who play this game do have some creativity. We want the ideas of creative professionals. What did I say?
No, yeah, I was making fun of one of the other members. You said everyone who plays must have some creativity, and I was like, well, maybe not.
Poor Dave, he said twice that he really likes you, and you're just shitting on him.
Did he say Dave?
The thing is, I didn't actually mean Dave, that one, but because I've been poking fun of him, I couldn't say who the other person was, and I went instead to Dave, because Dave has actually repeatedly shown himself to be a creative and charismatic player character.
Player?
Dave's just a character.
I'm a character! You're not even a player.
That Dave, what a character.
Get in the game!
Alright, so that kind of ties into the lore point, where, John brought up the lore about the slime room. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of lore. Like, that's one of the things that the adventure went to great lengths to detail, and it is so easy to completely miss that detail. And again, the only reason you guys found out about it was because I cheated and I just gave the information to Sorrow. I said, okay, your character starts with all this information that would have been skipped because this adventure was poorly written. Sir Keegan, he, from how he was written to be an interesting character, a tragic hero. But you don't get his story if you fail the skill challenge. Which brings me to the skill challenge. I think that was the first skill challenge, correct? In 4th edition? You didn't do any before that, right? Question mark?
Nope.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Alright, first off, social skill challenges are a little on the tough side. Physical skill challenges
Even
are much
in real
more...
life.
Right, so physical skill challenges are much easier to relate to, they're much easier to understand, they're much easier to run and deal with. So I'm not sure why they decided to go with this one as the first skill challenge, as the introduction to skill challenges. Skill challenges were supposed to be a major selling point of 4th edition, and while I do like them, I think there definitely are flaws, and this is a terrible skill challenge. Good skill challenge design should not close off an avenue in case of failure. Failure should be a setback, not a closed door. And while failure in this case did not completely prevent your progression, which would be the worst thing a skill challenge can do, it shut the door on an important piece of lore, which again, the adventure went to great lengths of detail, and which you cannot obtain anywhere else. Again, I just gave it to Sorrow. What do you guys remember of Sir Keegan's lore?
He was a knight, he had a sword, he got corrupted, he dead.
Alright, and the first people he killed were his wife and children. And now, there's an area in the 2nd level of the keep where you fight 2 zombies. Now, some people have inferred that these were the corpses that were throwing their organs at you. They came out of 2 sarcophagi. Some people have inferred that those 2 sarcophagi were Keegan's children. The adventure does not state this, so I'm not going to give the authors credit into planning that, but had I caught on to that, or had they actually written that to be the case, I think that would have turned that battle into something with so much more meaning if you guys would realize, oh shit, these are Sir Keegan's children that have turned into horribly mutated undead that we're now fighting.
And they were annoying.
Well, I'm pretty sure... I have a feeling that Coltane's a baby killer already anyway, so...
Okay, wait, so you kicked me in the balls twice. If anyone's a baby killer here, it's gonna be you.
Yeah.
And then that ghoul that you guys fought, that could have been his wife. Again, lost potential. Lost opportunity. Onto the difficulty. For me, the difficulty of this was a major negative point, a major flaw of this adventure. I could understand how, challenging adventures are cool. I can accept that. However, this adventure seems to be written that in such a way that if you do not play with a party of 5 optimized characters, with each of the 4 roles well represented, and if the players do not make the optimal combat choices throughout battle... How did I start this train of thought? It seems designed in such a way that you have to be completely optimized in every way for it to be of a manageable difficulty. And if you stray from that path 1 iota, it just becomes too difficult. And again, as Nick was saying earlier, this is the introduction to 4th edition. This is supposed to bring in new players. Why so difficult? Once you reached Irontooth, it was just one difficult battle after another. I'm all for a major climactic battle here and there. But put some easy ones in between to buffer things out. Don't make every single battle down to the line or just almost a TPK. Yeah, there
Agreed.
was some bad luck, but I'm looking at the because they give you the level of the challenge, and I'm like, this is rather high. Okay, I can understand this being a boss battle, and then hey, the next one also high, and the next one also high. Why does it need to be so difficult? And then the plot. The plot. As I've harped on before, and I've been infusing for a while, Kal-El is just such a poorly written villain. He's not written to be incompetent, but he just is incompetent based on how he's written. And again, what are his plans? Why does he want to open this rift? Why does he care about Winterhaven interfering? Why did he send an obvious spy?
Yep.
I'm gonna stop myself there because I'm moving beyond discussion to just ranting, and I'm losing logical. I'm losing the ability to form coherent arguments, and I'm just bashing. So let's just say that I look forward to the next adventure, which, from reviews, does not seem to be fantastic, but it is not bad like this one.
Interesting.
Does it take place in Springhaven?
Fortunately, no. Alright, that covers all the points I had to bring up. Can you guys think of anything else to cover?
Not really. No.
Well, Coltane might want to cover his balls.
His balls aren't a point, though. That's his other thing.
Well, I could just finalize by saying that as my first, D&D experience as a whole, it was still quite fun. Like, even though there was a ton of frustration and all that, I enjoyed it. It was good. As much as I harp on them, I harp on them with love to my fellow players, and I just had a good time. D&D is fun, and as we said, the potential is there. Therefore, the potential is there, and we shall have more fun, I hope.
Yeah, that's a good point. As much as I can say that Keep on the Shadowfell was a terrible, terrible adventure, I do think we had a lot of fun playing through it. At least I did. Sometimes weren't so fun, like when we had those near TPK moments, or just terrible failures in battle because of the insane difficulty. But overall, it was fun. But I don't attribute that to the to the authors of the adventure. I attribute that to our group, players, all of us together. I will say one good thing about Keep on the Shadowfell. It delivered a good ending. It set up all the dominoes in such a way that the final battle was climactic. Unfortunately, you did not get to physically push Kal-El into the Shadow Rift, but that would have been an option you guys could have taken. And throughout the adventure basically taught you, by having wells and pits everywhere, to push enemies, into places, which you guys did spectacularly through other battles. Unfortunately, you no longer had any powers to push once you reached the final one. But I think the final battle, it was suitably climactic. A big forest, there was a whole Shadow Rift thing, there was a lot going on, interesting terrain, and a satisfying death to the stupid villain, who was basically killed through his own stupid plan. So serves him right.
Was it actually scripted that he go stand in front of the portal?
Yes, in fact, standing... Okay, that brings me to my point about the difficulty. As great as that final battle was, it was just too stupidly difficult. Once Kal-El was teleported to the circle, once he teleported to that circle in front of the rift, all his defenses were boosted up by 2. So, as much trouble as he had hitting him before, Well, actually, you probably didn't hit him much, but that's why you were having such difficulty hitting him. His AC, or his defenses, were all around, as John said, I think, 23.
Which is a little ridiculous.
Not only that, every time the Shadow Rift hit one of you guys, he healed by like 5 hit points or something. And he had almost 200 hit points.
Okay, I don't feel so bad about not actually physically killing him anymore.
And should I tell you this or not?
Do it.
Alright, as written, I said I made some changes to make things easier. As written, Kal-El was not supposed to be sucked into the Shadow Rift unless you killed him while the Shadow Rift was still open. I did it the other way around. As written, you could have closed the Shadow Rift and it would have just closed and you would have still had to fight Kal-El. And he probably would have killed everyone. But as my final FU to the writers and their ridiculous difficulty, I had him sucked into the Shadow Rift because that's what the adventure is all about. It's all about the Shadow Rift. So, you know, the adventure is not named Kal-El in the Keep. It's Keep on the Shadowfell. So, once you guys close that rift and foil his plan, everything after that is just, you know, gravy.
Yeah, we probably would have died. Unless you'd, like, I guess, weakened him severely afterwards anyway. But the same ends, at least. I'm not complaining.
What level was he?
Oh, that doesn't matter. Like, I can't... If I tell you the level, I mean, first off, I don't remember it. I could look it up. But if I tell you the level, you're gonna equate it to PC level, which is not a fair equation.
Yeah, like you told us, the healing, PCs have healing, monsters don't have healing, right?
Alright, I guess that wraps up, after a year and a half, our adventure, our module. We're gonna have a little break.
A year and a
before
half
we...
hour adventure?
We're gonna have a little break before we delve into our next adventure, and I'd like to actually take that time to collect some thoughts and some ideas on how to maybe make the next one better from a production standpoint or a YouTube standpoint. So I don't know if you guys will have a lot to say about this, but I'm hoping at least our listeners can pitch in here. What can we do to make the videos, well, the audios, if you will, better? Is there anything we can change? Is there anything else you'd like to see? One thing in particular that I've been toying around with is the format of distribution of the sessions. I'm presently working on a system whereby each session is divided into about 20-minute increments, so about 4 20-minute increments. Is that good? Is that not good? I could, if I wanted to, just have the session be one long video. The reason I don't want to go for that is I think people will be scared off by a 1-hour video and not want to watch that, and you know, it's longer to buffer and it's harder to find your place thereafter. Whereas if it's broken into segments, it's a little more work to have to go through them, but you know, less buffering, more approachable, less intimidating video. I don't know, what do you guys think about that?
I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, shorter's better.
Alright, any more ideas before we call it a night?
The only good idea I can think of is sleeping right now.
We need a monk that will burn down orphanages.
Why did the orphanage attack first?
No, not really.
That made me think of oh shit, what's that video on YouTube you sent me, CJ, of them playing D&D?
The Gamers?
That's the didn't they burn down an orphanage or something?
I don't recall that happening. It definitely didn't happen as a scene. Maybe they might have spoken about that. I don't
pretty sure
remember.
they mentioned it.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
No, they didn't actually do it, but they mentioned the thing. Like they mentioned that they burnt down the orphanage in another session.
Alright, so since we've gotten off message, I presume we have no more ideas about how we could make this better for listeners or viewers?
No, not really.
Are you guys all
I've
done
actually
leveling
yet
up your
to
characters?
watch- I haven't
Wait,
had
what?
it
Leveling
hour.
characters?
My character didn't get a level.
That's because you're level 4.
Almost level 5.
It's because you're the
Well,
CEO.
Some
I haven't
benefits
added
to
my
not
power.
dying.
I'm really, really tired.
And for those of you listening at home, don't forget that we would really appreciate your thoughts on everything we've discussed tonight. Feel free to answer any and all questions that were asked, pitch in about any topics we covered, and as always, feel free to give feedback on anything else. We're going to be taking a few weeks off as we prepare for the next adventure. Hopefully we'll be making a few adjustments to our format, again based on feedback. And don't forget to visit dnd-d.com for exclusive DM commentary on tonight's session.